No, I think the biggest problem they have is Paraag.
Okay.
I mean, I think in the past they've given the bag to a bunch of players that didn't work out.
Yeah.
McKinnon, Richmond. They're still dealing with D Ford. That's what I'm pissed off about D Ford.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
I can rush the passer as good as D Ford can. At least one play. Just give me one.
You can also occupy the training room as well as he's the vet of the training room. Yeah.
I was trying to really temper 49er fans by trying to explain to them that Jimmy G can't pass the physical. You're not going to trade for a guy who can't pass a physical with that contract.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No.
So, do you cut him? Well,
yes.
Do you see Paraag cutting him?
No, absolutely not.
Again,
no.
Paraag's problem.
Right.
Now, what was our big free agent signing last year?
Samson Ebukam? Am I tripping?
Yep.
Samson Ebukam.
Samson was big, but really a big one?
No, absolutely not.
So I think right now what's happening is the Yorks have been just notoriously frugal about their franchise in general. Their stadium, how they approach the teams, who they hire for coaches, and things
Compare
like that.
Levi's to SoFi. The Rams spared no expense with SoFi. And I don't really like it, but it's a whole different thing than Levi's. It's a
different thing.
Bare bones. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally bare bones. Yeah.
And I've been there before, being an ex-Michigan native and, having to go way out into the boonies to go to Silverdome, which was hilarious because this, what the Silverdome sold for about 8 years ago? It sold for $300,000 to some Canadian company.
That's so funny.
And they moved back to Detroit.
Wow.
But the point is that as long as you have the Yorks in charge and Paraag is running the money, he's really speaking for John York for the most part.
That's right.
So they're not going to be dropping these big deals. So I think that's probably why some of the reasons why some of us are a little bit nervous about Debo. Because if I recall, you and I both said, hey, at the beginning of the year, we were like, no, I'm not re-signing Debo. He's got to do another year. So then Debo just went God mode this year, right? He turned into one of the best players in the league.
Yes.
Bar none. And now he's like, oh, now we got to have him now. So the question is, with all these big free agent contracts, and if you go down and just look at the free agent list and look at it, I am seeing unbelievable contracts. Unbelievable. I said we had to have Lakin, but guess what? They gave Lakin a bag, and he's a good guard. Yep. He is not a very good guard. He is not a great guard. He's a good guard on some days, and some days he's average.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
But that's what free agency is all about, is overpaying for people. So, what size bag would you give to Debo? What would you give to him?
What they could do is not extend him at all. They could franchise tag him and go year to year. You could do that. But, if you're afraid of alienating him, they gave George Kittle the bag just to be, not to alienate him. How'd that work out? He hasn't been the same player since he signed that contract. I'm saying, if you're really worried about his longevity, don't give him an extension. What's he going to do? Hold out? I bet you we won't.
No, okay. I don't think he would hold out, but still, even when you franchise a player, that's a big chunk of money against your cap.
True. That's true.
It's going to be about $18 million against the cap. So that's still a big chunk of money against the cap. And right now, we're trying to really get to the Super Bowl as soon as possible. And for me,
the option, look, their option is to pay him top of the market money. They can do it. They have the money. They haven't spent anything this year, and they have $27 million waiting in salary cap space they can make. Or they can string him out year by year. And if they're really going to play him at running back, then maybe they should, because running backs last about 2.5 years, and he just played running back for 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a point. I think the other point that hasn't factored in yet, this is going to tell us what kind of owners the Yorks need to do, because I agree, when you are close, you should go all in. I agree with that. With a new quarterback coming in, offensive line in flux, which to me seems to be like a youth movement. Mm-hmm. I'm not confident you go all in right now. And I guarantee you, if I'm feeling that, the Yorks are the same way, because last year, like, oh, well, we got to the NFC Championship game. Well, what's wrong with what we did last year? That's how they are.
Yeah. That's exactly how they are. Complacent.
They're the bosses that say, hey, I need a new computer. And they're like, for what? What's wrong with that one? It's only 8 years old. That's how they are.
You made it to the NFC Championship game with that computer last year. Now it's a problem. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Yorks right now is probably the biggest part of the problem.
Yeah.
They're not going to cut Jimmy because they're cheap.
Yep.
And then don't get me wrong, I'm very practical. And I agree too that it's hard for me to give someone $7.5 million to walk away. But there still could be
They're
a
worth
chance.
$4 billion, man. PoppaDragon. They're worth $4 billion. That's their problem. That's their. They should do it for the what's best for the franchise. Them eating $7.5 million straight up. I don't care.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I'm with you, but I'm trying to think. I'm playing.
No, I know from their perspective. You're right. You're right. They're not. It's never going to happen.
That's why it's not going to happen.
It's not going to
I'm just
happen.
playing chess here.
No, you're right.
Right?
You're right. Sorry, I got emotional for a second.
Yeah. So I know you're getting emotional, and I get why fans are all fired up too. Because again, I never agreed with the Jimmy Garoppolo contract, the first one. Mm-hmm. I thought they should have cut him when he was out in public with a porn star. I'm hard like that. I'm straight up. I'm just straight up. I'm just like, look, that's what your franchise is now. Now I got to get rid of my number 10 jerseys on my kids because I got to explain to them it made mom mad. So moving forward, what can they do at this particular point? I felt they should have fortified Trey as much as possible. And I didn't see that. I just wanted one starting offensive lineman in free agency. Just one. And we got none. And that is
Ray McLeod. That's the only offensive player they brought in.
Yeah, but I need an offensive lineman because I don't care who the quarterback is. In that NFC championship game, we had no blockers. None.
Yeah. Go back and watch the fourth quarter. Yep.
Exactly. It was just embarrassing. They need to be able to block. These teams are really fortifying their pass rushes right now. Pass rushers are always ahead of the offensive line. They need to go all in on their offensive line. They really do. That's when they need to put their money in those trenches, and I think they have a chance for success. But that's, to me, what the deal was. Build around Trey. Protect him because he's been hurt twice. He can't run around. And this is the things he needs to change in this game. Two things. One, this is not college anymore. You can't run. You're not miles up, beyond everybody else where you're just running them over. You can't do that in the pros. And then number two, he's got to play better with his eyes. He has to be able to eye around, move players with his eyes. He's got to play the pro game. If he does that, and I think that he is capable of doing that, the 49ers should be very happy in 3 to 4 years, provided they give him the support. Because I'll be honest with you, as much as I dislike Jimmy Garoppolo and I hope that he got stuck somewhere on some porn set, I'll be honest with you, he didn't have the best offensive line. And I think it turned him into the quarterback that he wound up being, that quick release guy. You know what I'm saying? He's just always getting rid of stuff really, really quick because he's scared of getting hit.
Yeah. Papa, I got to take some more calls, but you killed it, man. Thank you.